Welcome to the Speaking of Math podcast, episode number 41 by Door to Math. This podcast is devoted to all things math education and how parents can be a positive factor in their kids' math learning. Math is the gateway to many professional careers as well as confidence and personal growth. Find more information at www.doortomath.com or on our Facebook page at Tucson Math Talk and on YouTube at Tucson Math Talk also. So let's get on with the topic of the day. Currently, late January, early February, it's open house season for schools for next year's enrollment. And when our kids were middle school grade, I remember that you had some very strong concerns about Montessori middle schools. Can you tell us a little bit what that was all about?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. So that's interesting you mentioned that. So today at work, I am making up a weekly testing schedule for my Montessori middle schoolers. And the concern over the years has not gone away. And each year, this time of the year, I always tell parents who are going to the Montessori open house for the middle school, I always prepare them a list of things to ask about that particular Montessori school. Now, Montessori, as we know, is by Dr. Maria Montessori in Italy, I believe. It was never fully incorporated, so each Montessori house or school have their own curriculum and they have their own different flavors. Here in town, we have at least 3, and if you count Phoenix, the number goes up to about 10. So each Montessori all have their own little thing going on. One of the big drawback I always prepare the students when they come here is that make sure there's some sort of a strategic, weekly, monthly, just some sort of regular testing.
Okay, so what specifically are your concerns for middle school Montessori?
Testing. Montessori, the entire philosophy, does not believe in testing. Now, when our kids are young in the elementary school, I completely agree. I think when you test the kids too young, they lose their curiosity and creativity. It's much better child-driven. However, in the middle school, in the transition into the high school, where whether we like it or not, our kids will be tested because college is going to look for the test scores and keep track of the GPA and the grades and so on and so forth. So middle school is a really transition. If you look at the K through 12, high school, the performance is going to matter to get into college of your choice. Younger than that, elementary school is really teach kids use their imagination, protect their curiosity, and teach them how to learn on their own. Now, middle school is a transition, and in this transition, I believe, I'm going to ruffle some feathers out there, but I believe Montessori comes short when it comes to prepare our kids for testing, specifically how to manage the time, how to manage the anxiety, what kind of testing skill is necessary to really perform to your potential when it comes to math. None of those stuff is stressed, and I think put our kids at quite a better disadvantage when it comes to the transition to regular high school.
So what I'm hearing that at middle school and upwards, test taking is a very important skill to learn, and it's important because there's time management, anxiety management, and learning the test taking skills. Is that test taking in itself important enough to consider a different school just because of that?
Yes and no. I know this doesn't sound like a committed answer. If your kid is not driven to specific college, high school, so on and so forth, the answer is no. It's a clear no. Protect their curiosity and stay with the Montessori method. But be prepared on the 9th grade, it will be a little rougher transition. Now, if you know your kid are engineering tracked or has a specific school that they want to be tested into, I would say it's absolutely yes, because test taking, much like playing any sports. So it's one thing to take a lesson and practice with your team, but push come to shove, test taking is about performance, and there's a very specific skill a set of skills needs to be passed on to our kids.
Now, both our kids went to Montessori in the first and second grade, and we took them to different schools, third grade on upward. Is third grade the right transition point, or do we go up further?
I would say, rule of thumb, at sixth grade, math gets pretty challenging, just the material gets denser. So fifth grade is a good transition point if you know, or at least if you want to keep that track open for the kids. And I believe fifth to eighth grade, most of the kids are malleable enough that you can teach them test-taking skill. They can handle stress a little bit more. Younger than that, I think it does disservice for the kids. Now, past beyond eighth grade, it doesn't mean you can't teach the kids test-taking skill. It's just math gets a little harder, and to teach math test-taking and the transition preparing to the high school and math gets difficult. There's just too many things piled on top of the hormone transition for the kids going through that.
So as a parent, what I'm hearing in ninth grade, there's quite a few transitions, and you don't want to load test taking on top of them. On top of that, so that's why it's better to do that in the fifth grade rather than ninth grade. Is fifth grade to learn test taking, is that still a hard transition?
Not as bad, because I believe up to sixth grade, math in itself, it's pretty easy. So when it's material is still easy, you can build the soft skill, how to ask questions, how to manage your time, how to have a homework routine, so on and so forth. And test taking, since it's a critical performance, that's what high schoolers are going to be judged on. I think fifth grade is starting transitioning into it's good. So if you do want to stay in the Montessori system, then you need to go find some other way to supplement that.
So learning test taking in the fifth grade, it's still manageable.
It's still manageable. So what I do at work, it's just for parents to be aware of that. So that's a big thing. When the parents come into the office with a Montessori background, I can relate. I always say, when you come to fifth grade, come back, talk to me, because test taking, you're going to have to.
It's okay.
It's going to be loud. Okay, let's try it again.
So what I hear in the fifth grade, test taking is still manageable.
It's manageable, and I think if giving 3 years to learn how to manage the test anxiety, to teach them as in a very specific process how to perform to their potential on the test. That's a good time period, not stressing the kids out at the same time that they are prepared to enter the ninth grade with another chunk, another build, or another notch on their build.
All right, so if I'm a parent and I really, really like my Montessori school because it gives the kids so much, and I really want to find a way to keep them in the Montessori schoolhouse in the 5th to 8th grade, knowing that the test taking won't be quite there, what is it that I can do that still give my kids the test taking, yet have the Montessori experience?
Yeah, I think I can see 3 things. Those are 3 things I recommended to the parents coming in my office. Number 1 is be aware, which is hopefully you're listening to this now. Just take a look at the K through 12 and see, where are my kids when it comes to tests? If you want to maybe even find some sort of standardized test. Give your child a half hour, put a timer on, just take a look where it's at. So awareness, number 1. Number 2 is there are some math curriculum out there for homeschool parents that if you're in a Montessori setting, you can actually take some research, type in the homeschool math curriculum for pre-algebra. There will be a curriculum that comes up. So get a free PDF, put your kids a timer, have your kid try it and see what it feels like. So go out to the online, find a couple of tests that administrated at home. And the third one I would say is find a reputable, not quite a tutoring center, although that might be able to do. Get yourself, look for some resources where you can get your kid assessed, not for tutoring or extra help, just to get assessed, to get a sense, get a second opinion, basically.
All right, so what I hear, if I want to stay with the Montessori method for 5th to 8th grade students, there's three things I have to do. I have to be aware of what the shortfalls are, maybe have some sort of outside math curriculum to supplement the Montessori, and also do some sort of assessment outside of Montessori, see where my child is. Now that brings me to the next question. Is doing the Khan Academy lessons during the Montessori, is that a good way to go?
Yeah, a lot of Montessori school use the Khan Academy, which I really like the Khan Academy because I think it's a resource is right there. It's free and it's really easily accessible. The downside I do see from the students who are in my office is this. For our particular here in Tucson, we have 3 Montessori type of schools. One particular is using Khan as their main curriculum when it comes to math. And the students are graded by how long they spend on the Khan Academy. Now, at the beginning, I was very excited. Yay, some math every day for middle schooler is fantastic. Now, as the semester goes on, it dawned on me it has its drawback in that some of my students, the math itself is so easy. By nature, it's about a 10-minute work, but because their grades is counted how long they spend on the Khan Academy, and they're looking for counting the Khan Academy minutes. So 10 minutes homework actually got dragged down into an hour because kids wants to get their minutes counted. To me, that doesn't make sense. It's almost backward when it comes to test taking. There's very few kids ever say, oh, I have too much time, I didn't need all of them. Just about everyone says, I ran out of time. So that's aspect of using Khan Academy counting minutes, I believe, in the long term, it's hurting the kids when it comes to test taking.
All right, let's summarize. Today we talked about Montessori method. It's a really good method. Both of our kids went there in the 1st and 2nd grade. There can be some issues in the 5th to 8th grade in that test taking is not prioritized in the Montessori method, and it can be important. It is important as it comes to math because it teaches time management, anxiety management, and test taking skills. So if for those parents, for those of us who would want to still stay with the Montessori method, the main thing to take away is that there needs to be some outside way to give that skill to our children before we get to high school. All right, anything you want to add to that?
No, I love Montessori. I think our kids benefited tremendously when they're in the younger years, so that they follow their own curiosity and they can focus a lot longer. I believe the entire philosophy of child-centered education when they're young is fantastically served for our kids.
All right, so for more information, go to www.dohertymath.com or our Facebook page at Tucson Math Talk and our YouTube channel at Tucson Math Talk also. Until next time.
Happy parenting.